Hey guys, welcome to week 8. This is the last week, so I'm just going to show you a couple of things about this week, things you need to know. If you'll click on week 8 overview on your front page, your home page to Canvas, and I'll go through our last weeks of assignment. All right, so the main thing first is your final exam proctor test. I've seen where a couple of you have already taken it, so that's great. Thank you for that. The rest of you, guys, you've got to make sure you take it. Number one, the subject matter is the book test. That's what it is. It's an exam on the book Misery. Okay, 50 multiple choice questions and 5 essay type questions. That's what the test will look like. You'll have 2 hours. Make sure you make an appointment. It gets really busy at this time of the year, so if you've waited to make an appointment, you may have to go into your Proctor Choice lab and ask for cancellations, or call every day, or go in and try to be seen as a walk-in. Guys, Friday is the last day to do this at 11:59. That's the last day of class, is this Friday. So you can't message me Saturday and say, can I please take? No, because our class ends Friday. So I've given you since last Thursday until this coming up Friday. So you have to get this done. Okay. Anyway, that's that. Last thing. All right. If you look at number 2, our next thing, you have 2 assignments this week. One is the final exam. The second one is the final copy of your research paper is due tomorrow night by 11:59. So you can click right here. This is a page where I went through everything that I noticed in your drafts that I thought were issues or possible problems. So I went through and anything I could think of, I tried to explain it further, or maybe try to get rid of any kind of questions that we might have had. And then I did put in some links if we needed them. But mainly I was going through things that I thought you needed to know. Okay. If you have questions on any of these things, please don't hesitate to ask. I need to know if there's something I can help you with here, because this is the big daddy. Okay. Another thing is, most of the issues I caught in the draft, because you're pretty much just going back through, adding another characteristic, another scene. So if you had a problem in the first 3 paragraphs, know that those could easily crop up in the rest of your paper. So be mindful of those things. If you never italicize Misery the film, I'm going to count off every time in the research paper you do it. So make sure, if that's something you always forget to do, you go through your paper and make sure. If you're not putting a citation, a parenthetical citation after every single quote, you keep forgetting that, go back and check all of them before you turn that in. All right, let's see. After you look through that, and make sure you're thorough there, that you actually look and pay attention to those things. In your week 8 overview sheet, there is also a link to this module, and you can get to it by clicking on modules and kind of scroll down until you see week 8. This is all the articles that you need to use. You need to quote at least once. All right, here's the Desprez article. Here's the Gouliat and Davidson article. Those are both on BPDs, okay, borderline personality disorder. I use this one as the definition in your intro. You're using it once. And then I kind of would use this article, Desprez, for the rest. Every time I introduce a new characteristic, I'll probably quote from this one. A little easier to understand, a little clearer, but you can use this one as well. You just need to know that you need to quote at least once from this one and at least once from that. You're going to quote more than that, but you've got to use, in other words, you can't just use this article and not ever touch on this one. You've got to use both of them. All right, this is the film terms. When you do that body paragraph that says film devices in the scene where help to show Annie has the characteristic of mood swings, you will, if you use things like low angle shot, close up, fill lighting, those are things that you'll look in that handbook that the PDF file I did of the Film Terms Handbook. Go through there and I've shown you pretty much all the drafts did not do that. So I showed you on your draft how to do that specifically. So make sure that you do that correctly. Now, once you define close-up, and if you use that film device of close-up later on, you don't have to redefine it. If you use sound, you do not have to define that. If you happen to use spotlight, you don't have to define that. Those are obvious, but some of those others you need to make sure that they are defined. So look at your drafts. I showed you how to do it. I gave everybody an example, and usually two, because y'all use two devices in those body paragraphs. The other thing are the film reviews. This has caused a lot of confusion, and it shouldn't. Okay. I gave you two film reviews. One is by Roger Ebert and one is by Vincent Canby. These are film reviews because these are two guys that do this for a living. They watch movies. It's a nice job. Watch movies and then write an article, either saying, yes, this is a good film, no, this isn't a good film, and why. Okay. I chose these two because they talk about Annie specifically in them. What you have to do is quote once from each of them. Okay. So you have to use these once, okay? Both articles. And you're putting them anywhere. I'm not telling you where to put them because they can go pretty much anywhere you're talking about Annie. So they can go into a body paragraph. They can go in the introduction. They can go in the conclusion. You want to separate them, though. I wouldn't have your Canby and your Ebert quote in one paragraph. I would try to spread them out. But it's up to you where you want to put them. Now, there was one, I think it's in week 6, I gave you a sample paragraph where I inserted one of the film reviews to kind of show you how to integrate it into your paper. The only thing you want to be cautious of is that you don't put them together, okay? Like you don't put, according to Desprez, blah, 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 and then according to Canby, blah, blah, blah. You want to make sure that your quotes aren't backed up to each other, that you always have your own sentence of your own words in between quotes. Also, don't start a quote, don't start a paragraph, and don't end a paragraph with a quote, okay? Always begin and end with your own words because you're more important than these quotes are, okay? The other thing, these two, when you cite them, wherever the quote is, count the paragraphs, okay? And that just means where a new chunk of writing has started. Those are paragraphs. So if you quote a sentence that comes from the 4th paragraph down, then in your citation you'll put parentheses, capital PAR, period, space 4, the number, and end it with the parentheses and then your period. Okay. On the Desprez and Gouliai-Davidson articles, you can do the paragraph number or you can do the page number. Okay. And I think the page number for Gouliai-Davidson is like 600s and something, and the Desprez is 200. You can find it on the actual printout of the articles, or use the paragraph. Either one for these will be counted correct. Here you have to have paragraph numbers. Okay. Okay, let's see what else. So if you have any more questions about those things, please let me know because I'll help you. All right, then the rubric, that's just how I'm going to grade. Your first one will look very similar to the way I've been grading Essay 1, 2, and 3. That won't change, especially how things like content is a certain number, your intro is a certain number. This, though, is going to be attached to the rubric, and it's a little different. I can count off for an intro that doesn't identify the correct theme. If you say something that's not correct, like if you miss a name or say something that didn't happen in the film, let's see. If you don't, in your conclusion, if you don't mention mental illness and how that connects with misery, and I gave you some good ideas and suggestions. I think it was in week 6 module for conclusion paragraphs. You may want to go back and look at that. I can also count off for if you're not discussing how specific film devices support the disorder. Some of you have called a close-up something, but what you're really talking about is a reverse shot. So make sure you know which film device you're talking about. the quoting, have all those to do. Serious violations. Guys, if there's no citation after the quote, that's 5 points every time you don't add a parenthetical citation. If you don't put your works cited page on or attach it to your final copy, that's a 0. What I will do for you is I'll give you a 50, and you can't get any higher than a 50. That works cited is so easy. You copy and you paste it. Okay, I have done the work for you, so now all you have to do is copy and paste it. I do notice that some of you are doing a fantastic job. All you had to do is kind of correct some things, add some things, make sure things were in order. You should be good. I'm not worried. Some of you were talking about bipolar disorder. Some of you never mentioned film devices. Guys, this is 30% of your grade. This is huge. If you haven't put your heart and soul into anything in this course so far, this is the one. This is the one where you need to. It's the big daddy. Okay, so please be sure that you are asking questions, that you go back to the draft template. Use the topic sentences. Use the last sentences in those paragraphs. Use it because that's what it's there for. Remember that the final copy is due tomorrow by 11:59, so please don't let them be late. Okay, that will not be good for you. So make sure they are turned in on time. If you have any other questions, please don't hesitate to message me in Canvas. Thank you.